Our income is solid at the moment. We should start considering where we can look to invest the profit we're making back into the team.
And that will be a driver next year, buddy. Although we could probably spend a little bit of something, but hello again, everyone. Saki here, and welcome back to Formula 1 2021, and we are getting ready for my home race as SACA, the United States Grand Prix in Austin, Texas. And of course, before we get there in 10 days, we have some activities to take care of. And of course, we're going for that Team Acclaim 15, and for $15,000, we can get 500 with a sponsored event with an in-depth factory tour. I like the sound of that for sure. Let's see, some Team Acclaim and another advertisement for drivers, so even more acclaim and more money to get back the money that we spent on that thing. So sounds good. That will set our activities up. Looking at the vehicle, we took a lot of grid penalties last race in Japan to make sure that we had a car capable of doing well, so we don't need to do anything as far as part swaps for the race. So where we qualify is actually where we're going to start. Looking at aerodynamics, our rear wing upper flap has failed. Well, crap. Let's get that rear wing upper flap re-researched again. So that will be ready after Austin and before Mexico. So we will go ahead and do that. Yeah, looking at the aero side, we're above Haas just barely, but not even close to Williams just yet. So the aero side is where we're going to have to spend a lot of points going forward. But we do have in the tank in 3 days our sticky uppy bits that failed last time. So they will be ready before the United States Grand Prix, so that is all well and good. Looking at chassis side, we're still working on our monocoque structure in 9 days. Heave dampers are nice and cheap, however, not really that much as far as a performance gain. Looking at our powertrain, we could spend all of our points to get a little bit boost out with the rotor speed. ECU looks similar as far as the improvement with a little bit reduction of cost. And as far as reliability goes, we have failed our energy store. So we'll go ahead and get that energy store researched, and it will be ready before Mexico. And that is just shy of Red Bull. That will put us ahead of Aston Martin and Mercedes once that is done, leaving us with 812 research points. Austin should be fairly good for me, so we should be able to get a lot of research points from our projects here. And looking at the overall, we're still just above Haas and about up there with Williams when everything is said and done, but our powertrain is shining through as well as our durability. Aero is where we need some massive help. So let's speed through time here. Going through, there is our sticky uppy bits done, our factory tour done, running costs, well done, sponsor advertisement for our drivers. And
as we continue to increase our acclaim, more potential partners become
so we're
willing
gonna
to
have
work
to
with us.
restart that.
We can now approach an additional sponsor from the corporate tab.
And good to hear on the corporate tab. We'll go back to tire allocation so we can go to our corporate tab. And as you can see, we have our third sponsor. So at 25 is our fourth and final sponsor. So let's take a look here and see who we want to sign here. And I like Alkiness Energy, although you wouldn't be able to say that that's exactly what that is based on their logo. I have some questions about that, but complete a weekend without colliding with another vehicle seems easy enough. So we will go ahead and sign with them and get them on the car. So sponsors are on the car, and I won't be spending any time getting up to speed. I know Austin fairly well, so let's go ahead to the race weekend and see where we shake out after practice.
Okay, I need your attention. The tech regulations are changing. There's a risk some of our hard work will be undone, so we need to mitigate it. As soon as you can, I want you to look at the developments we have and tell us what areas you want to invest in protecting.
So this is new. With rule changes coming up, they're saying that some of our parts won't be legal next year. So that is an interesting conundrum. Alright, so it looks like aerodynamics and chassis are going to be changing, which is the areas that we really haven't put a whole lot of stock into. Making existing upgrades obsolete. Such upgrades can be adapted at 50% cost to make them legal for next season's regulations. Interesting. So 2 departments affected, and there are 11 parts at risk. Well, crap. All right, so aerodynamics. So we have all of these parts at risk. Those are fine. We haven't invested in that. The rear outer strakes. So we can try to adapt several. We have enough points to do that. Let's take a look at the chassis side and see if there's anything that we want to save there. So our engine cover, the monocoque failed, so that's yeah. So we'll do the central under tray. We'll adapt it. We will do the engine cover and adapt it. And then once we get some parts or some research points, we'll do some adapting in the future when we get back to the shop. All right, let's roll out for practice and take this one step at a time. So a pretty good run out of Nobuharu up in 15th. We're in 19th, trying to get a feel of what exactly it takes to go around this racetrack in Formula 1 2021, and Valtteri Bottas sets your fastest lap in practice 1. Let's get practice 2 done with.
Good day today.
What up,
Let's have your
girl?
take on it. Your R&D team has been working non-stop this season. Is this to catch up or stay ahead?
All right, so yeah, we're making sure our power unit stays competitive. No one rests.
The regulation changes for next season have been announced. How is your team going to cope with the transition?
We're already hard at work on next season's upgrades.
Do you have any comments about this team?
They're a great team with a strong legacy. We're lucky to have them in Formula 1.
Appreciate your time.
You too, Claire. All right, so that's 3 questions answered for the weekend. All right, almost 2 seconds behind Sergio after practice 2, sitting in 13th, and that was with the maximum downforce setup. So what I'll do is in practice 3, I'll try a few laps on the least amount of downforce, a few laps on the most amount of downforce, and see where my lap time lies. So I'll see you after practice 3.
Good day today. Let's have your take on it.
What up, girl?
After all the teams have updated their cars for next season's regulation changes, where do you think you'll come out?
It's always a dice roll, but I'm confident that we're prepared for it.
You really put a lot of effort into practice today. Are you testing new components?
We're gathering data about the durability of the car.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Claire. And that will be all questions needed for the weekend. Feeling pretty good about our practice speed, and we were almost a second up on Sebastian Vettel, so hopefully qualifying treats us well. I'll see you after Q1.
Good day today. Let's have your take on it.
What up, girl?
Which department has been hit the hardest by next year's regulation changes?
No comment on that.
You spent a lot of time on the track during practice. Does the car have enough reliability to sustain that?
Of course, our power unit has great reliability. I answered 1 out of 2, Claire. I'm sorry. All right, looking at our practice programs, we completed a bunch, so that should be a lot of points in the bank, back up to 1,207. Looking at our discounts going forward, so the reliability testing on control electronics goes down, and hey, DRS activation mechanism for a reduction. Looking at gearbox reliability testing as well as control electronics, so those parts are coming down nice. And another gearbox reduction, okay. Energy recovery system, that rotor speed, which will have a pretty big impact with a bigger reduction. And we didn't lose any acclaim, so staying at Team Acclaim 15 to start the weekend off. We definitely don't want to lose that 3rd sponsor. So qualifying 1 done. We are in position 8, 8/10 off of Lewis Hamilton. Looking back at Nobuharu, 21st out of 22nd. Don't tell Nobuharu, but we need a little bit a better driver with some little better pace. But Q2 is coming up. We'll see how we fare. I believe rain may be on the way. So rain came at the end of qualifying 2, and everyone was out there trying to beat me, trying to get my 10th place spot, but to no avail. We will line up in qualifying 3. So let's just put down a lap and see what happens. So qualifying 3, I thought the rain was going to get lighter towards the end. That's what our weather station said, so I let them go out. I went out at the halfway mark, and by that time it was absolutely pouring. We didn't have anything for them since they set their time on intermediates and we had to go to the wets. But let's get ready for a top 10 starting spot here in Austin.
So that was an exciting race from our perspective. Let's have yours.
It wasn't a race, Claire,
Are you
but
happy
whatever.
with where you'll be on the grid tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm excited as it gives me the best shot at points, indeed.
After the regulation changes were announced, was it all hands on deck for next year's car?
Yep, we're already working overtime on next year's car.
Great. Well, that's everything.
See you, Claire. And that is a payday for answering all of her questions. Let's see, there we go. We beat Sebastian, got 2-1 on the rivalry point. And moving up almost to driver acclaim 11, and a good positive score for the team acclaim, staying in that 15 area.
Here we are then in one of the fastest growing cities in the United States, the fabulous Austin, in the great state of Texas. The circuit itself 14 miles southeast of the city centre and home to the US Grand Prix since 2012. The latest in a long list of iconic tracks to have that honour. We're racing today then in Travis County, Texas, where 20 corners and speeds of up to 200 miles an hour await us on this magnificent racetrack. It's 60% full throttle with plenty of good opportunities to pass, especially through the 2 DRS zones into turn 1 and at the end of the long back straight into turn 12. What a race we have in store today. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position, and it's Pierre Gasly in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Norris, Max Verstappen and Ricciardo, Perez, Hamilton, Leclerc and the Tigress, Tsunoda, Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon and Vettel, Stroll, Raikkonen, George Russell and Nicholas Latifi, Mick Schumacher, Matsushita, Mazepin and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
All right, we're ready for 14 laps here at Austin, 6 on the softs and 8 on the mediums. Should be fine with 15.1 laps in the tank. Let's try to get a good points finish here. Turn 1 is going to be insane. And, wow, Hamilton's back here. Lights out and away we go. Little bit of slip.
The energy store is getting worn, reducing our overall capacity. The more charge you hold, the faster that capacity will drop.
Into Norris just a bit. I don't know if that's going to count against us as far as not hitting a car during the weekend, but we can take a look-see here and settle in through the fast S's here and track down Max Verstappen. Starting lap 2, settling in 5th place in front of the McLarens.
Yellow flag.
Yellow flag up front. A Ferrari. Carlos Sainz is sideways in the middle of the track. All well and good for us. Moving up into 4th, DRS is enabled.
Use DRS when you are within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
So those McLarens are going to come hot and heavy down that back straightaway. And it looks like our rear wing has some damage. And Ricciardo gets into us as well as Lando. To the inside of Danny Rick, really pinching us down here. We'll see if we can get the launch.
DRS will be offline there's a fault with the rear wing system. Stay out, we can work on a fix remotely.
Perfect. All right, so no DRS for us. Starting lap 5, riding in 5th. Danny Rick a ways back, and it looks like pit stops are starting.
Box, we're coming in this lap.
So lap 6, riding in 5th, pitting this time. Coming down a pit road. Don't want to jump the curb. And it looks like one of the Ferraris is behind us. That looks like Charles. So we may be the first on medium tires through this cycle here. We'll see where we come out in relation to the Ferrari. Clutch in.
Complete, go now.
All right, we got the Ferrari off of pit road. Let's get up the hill.
That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops.
And we'll see if we can hold off Leclerc. As these laps wind down, see if we can catch anyone in front of us.
Nobuharu is in the pits. Nobuharu in the pits.
Starting lap 8, a bunch of cars to our left on pit road will make up those spots as well. And actually came out in front of Lewis Hamilton. That's not going to be a problem or anything. Starting lap 9.
Our head is 1.5 seconds.
Making a lot of passes here. We're back into the points. And we've got fresh medium tires behind us, but running in the top 10. Let's see if we can stay there. Perez right behind us. He's probably going to look out here. DRS open for the first time. Looks like they got that rear wing fixed. Starting lap 10 here. Starting lap 11, Hamilton right there with the pressure for 7th. Hamilton right there, he's going to have DRS down this straightaway. There he goes. And does the Ferrari make the move as well? We will see. DRS open, riding in 7th.
Last legs. Let's try to keep
3 to
mileage
go.
to a minimum.
Two to go. Leclerc right on that rear bumper. A big gap to Tsunoda. Leclerc should have DRS down this long straightaway. There he goes for the move. I don't think we'll be able to defend all the way down.
Okay, focus. We need to stay on form.
Maybe we can pressure him into making a mistake here.
This is your final lap of the race.
1 lap to go, 4 seconds clear of Yuki, so it looks like, I don't want to count my roosters before they henhouse, but a top 10 for us here.
We have 2 laps of fuel remaining.
If we can just bring it back home. And Lewis with the fastest lap of the race. We will indeed come across the line in 8th.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
Hey, driver of the day. I don't know how we did that.
That's it then for another magnificent United States Grand Prix, and they've hung on to take a sublime victory here today. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions and perfecting the team's strategies. They got all of these things right today, and the results speak for themselves. And
I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today.
So Valtteri with the win and Pierre Gasly on the second step. And was that Max Verstappen in third? Looks like we kind of held up Lewis Hamilton for most of that race, so he wasn't able to capitalize, but we capitalized on our position for sure.
Let's focus on the driver of the day. Anthony Davidson, who do you pick?
I have to give it to the Tigress. They did a great job at getting the most out of their tyres without losing pace, something that's a very handy skill to have in modern day Formula One.
So we did indeed come across the line in 8th, and our best lap was 6/10 off of Valtteri, and 6/10 as well off of Lewis, so not bad. Just my poor driving, really. But looking at the back, it looks like Mazepin. So wow, Carlos Sainz spun and actually got back on the racing surface and came back for 17th. Let's take a look at our standings. So with that P2, Pierre Gasly moves up into 9th with 50 points. We are tied, so we're going to have to outpoint Gasly if we want to maintain our position here. As far as team goes, sitting nice and solid in 6th overall. Can't complain about that. So Carlos coming through the back end, gets the rear end loose, it steps out. Pierre Gasly was actually leading the race and still under attack there. We went around wide with those McLarens behind, and just a spin, and it didn't cause a safety car, unfortunately. Carlos gets it going back straight and rejoin the race. But not a bad day for us overall. I was really looking forward to the United States Grand Prix. Always good to come to a track that you're confident in right from the get-go, and having some points never hurts either.
Great work out there today.
What up,
Let's
girl?
have your thoughts. It's safe to say you're smashing everyone's expectations, isn't it?
F1 is a team sport. We put an extreme in. Yeah, we all put in an extreme amount of effort.
The regulation changes for next season have been announced. How is your team going to cope with the transition?
Oh, we're already hard at work, girl. Don't you worry about a thing.
Appreciate your time.
See ya! So as far as the rival goes, we didn't get the podium, but we did finish ahead of Sebastian. That puts us at 21 out of 30. Sebastian sitting at 15, going for that 1600 acclaim. As far as team goes, we actually move up to driver standing 11. Nobuharu gets a little bit as well, sitting at about 15 and a half. That race was a good boost for us for sure. And we completed all of our objectives. Colliding with another vehicle, maybe that was don't get damaged. Nobuharu only $5,000 worth of damage, not bad. Sitting at 12.2 million. I think we will do one upgrade to the headquarters, but I want to save as much money as I can for driver negotiations in the off season. So back at the shop, and a 3-day turnaround for the Mexican Grand Prix, which ran not too awful long ago here in real life, so I'll be able to actually go back and look at some onboards, try to learn the track before I get there. But the season is winding down. Thank you for joining me. But that will do it for me. Like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next F1 2021 video. Take care.